Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cup Council. How are we all? Hopefully, all of you are having a fantastic Sunday, whenever we are around the world. I say fantastic. Why would you not be down in the glumps right now? Because, of course, Liverpool have just lost the Carabao Cup final by 2-1. And realistically, it should have been a lot more, shouldn't it? We got absolutely battered in that final. I think there's a lot to be discussed in terms of individual players, and I think there's a definite just deep dive that the squad needs, and overall, just a whole. Again, we'll probably talk about it in other shows, but just in general, there clearly needs to be just a refresh at Liverpool. And yeah, look, yeah, obviously that's going to be the conversation, I think, for the next couple of days. Anyway, but again, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Of course, so let me know your reactions, of course, to the defeat. And yeah, it just feels horrid once again. It's been a horrid week for Liverpool, considering the high we've had this season in terms of the performances and in terms of results, and obviously being top of the league. Of course, it's been a high, and it has been a high this season, and this week especially has been a very big low, in terms of, again, getting knocked out of the Champions League and losing the final as well. But look, I have to obviously kickstart the show saying congratulations to Newcastle. 100% deserved. They were outstanding today. Of course, we'll obviously go on and we'll speak about Liverpool and how we didn't perform, but still, Newcastle showed up and they did their job. And look, that team performed excellently, and I think that's the clear difference of when you've got a killer up top as well, with a really good midfield behind you. I think, look, Newcastle did a tremendous job, and 100% deserve to win. I believe it's their first trophy in 70 years. So look, they massively deserve the win. And look, there's no questions about that either. And look, I think everybody can agree that Newcastle 100% deserved to win, and deserved the cup. So look, I can't argue against that at all anyway. But again, let us know your guys' thoughts in the comments as well. And yeah, like I said, congratulations to Newcastle, of course. But Fabian's in saying, wow, we were terrible right from kickoff. So much wrong to point out. Slot got it wrong. Where do we start on what was wrong? Of course, we'll talk about that in a minute. But to Talio, Albin, Gary, big up, hope you're doing well, mate. Saying Talio Jota is finished. I would agree. Yep, I would agree. Jota can't play on his own up top. No, he can't. Yeah, it's again horrid. Let's be honest. Haikon, very disappointing performance to bounce back. In the derby, yeah, like, obviously we don't play now for, is it 16 days now? Obviously there is an international break around, which again, I think obviously doesn't help either, because on the weekend that normally would come back, obviously we've got weekend off, obviously due to FA Cup as well. So yeah, it's a bit of a long period now to wait to obviously bounce back on. But yeah, it's obviously the Merseyside derby. That has to be a huge game, of course. Anyway, and big up Hero as well, saying couldn't watch the game. Have we run out of steam? Can we keep it together for the league? Looking forward to the rebuild as well. Which, of course, I think that's yeah, it's 100% a valid question, and I'm going to go back on to what Fabian said in terms of Slot got it wrong. He did. Arne Slot did get it wrong today. I think team selection. First of all, I think he got it wrong. I think Diogo Jota shouldn't have started. Again, I think we should have started with Darwin. I think it's the same type of conversation to what we had coming out the PSG game, really. I think everybody had the same thought process and the same idea of, starting Darwin Núñez, had that energy to get in behind Newcastle. And we didn't do that, and Diogo Jota starting again. And look, I think it's now blatantly obvious that his legs are gone. I think, again, obviously we didn't start with Cody Gakpo. Obviously, he did come on, but didn't look fit. Again, obviously, we threw the kitchen sink, really, didn't we? After in terms of attackers, and I think Slot ran out of ideas. And I think, obviously, what impacts and I think what really makes this feel a bit worse is because, again, it's Slot's first final for Liverpool, which is huge. I've already seen people on social media say, "Oh, it's not big because it's the Carabao Cup and this, that, and the other." Like, no, this was huge. Like, again, it's Arne Slot's first final. It's again, it's going into the new era at Liverpool in terms of winning stuff as well. Obviously, everybody assumes Liverpool are going to win the Premier League, but again, that's not a given right, really. Look, Liverpool could completely capitulate from now on, and obviously Arsenal would go on and win the league, but obviously that's highly unlikely. But still, it could happen. It's still in the realms of possibilities, and we have 9 now huge games for the rest of the season. And look, obviously he did get it wrong. Absolutely got it wrong. And obviously I think there's a lot. I think there's accountability. I think for certain players, I think obviously we can be critical in terms of, again, I think Slot did get it wrong and he did get it wrong. But again, it's a learning curve. I think plenty of people need to a little bit realize that, again, Slot is a very young manager, and considering, again, first cup final. Obviously, I know they made the comparison on Sky in terms of I think Bill Shankly's first cup final he lost as well. But still, it's kind of that same thought process of, again, he'll learn from this, but still, it's very disappointing in the way we performed and the overall result as well. But look, 100%, like we had 1,000% deserve to lose, and that's the right thing as well. But big up Ian as well, saying nothing is won yet. Nothing is won yet, and we have no time to feel sorry for ourselves. Still have a league to win after a disastrous week. Why has Chiesa been a ghost all season? It's a very good, valid question, mate. I think it's for me. I do think that Liverpool, again, out of the substitutions, Chiesa was the one. That it was him, it was Harvey, that created an impact on the game. I know obviously Darwin Núñez came on. For me, didn't. I don't think he impacted the game. Cody looked injured again. And realistically, I think Slot ran out of ideas. So he thought, bugger it, we'll get all the attackers on and see what happens. And look, Chiesa, he caused problems when he was on, when he came on, off the left, played in the centre, caused, the Newcastle defence to, go back a little bit, and obviously got the goal. And I think for the Merseyside derby, but there has to be the question now, because I don't think Chiesa is in the Italian squad neither for the Nations League or whatever international is now as well. So again, why aren't we using Federico Chiesa? That's I think the $1 million question this season. And I think the only thing is Slot doesn't rate him, or Slot doesn't trust him to put him in this team. And I think I do think Slot is going to be very ruthless in the summer, and I really do believe that. I think there are a few players on the chopping block. I think Darwin, I think Diogo, I think Luis Diaz as well is also gone. And again, that's just my personal opinion. I think they're gone because watching that performance today, nothing, no intensity from anyone. And again, that might be because of the amount of football we've played, but still, there was no fight today from anyone. And I think as well, and I will say it, if anybody thinks Trent Alexander-Arnold leaving Liverpool is a good thing, massively mistaken. Massively mistaken. Tonight really showed why Liverpool need Trent, really. And I think, look, in certain games, yes, you can have Conor Bradley in there. Would Liverpool have been better tonight with Conor Bradley in the team? Absolutely. But would we have won the game? I'm not so sure. But I think with Trent in the team, I think there was a good enough chance. I think obviously a pitch like Wembley, plenty of space in behind to pass in. I think Trent would have been perfect. And in terms of creativity, there was just none for Liverpool tonight. And that is, again, an example of what Liverpool need to do in the summer. And that's without the potential of Trent leaving as well. But let me know your guys' thoughts, of course, on the game as well. If you're new around here, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, I should say, and all of that good stuff anyway. But Ozan says it was a case of too little too late, Con. Yeah, absolutely. Slot should have made changes much sooner. Yeah, possibly at half-time, potentially. But even still, look, Newcastle, I think obviously the big one, I think obviously where we talk about where Slot got it wrong, I think the corner situation in the first half, having Alexis McAllister on Dan Burn, like, I'm sorry, what? Like, you've got somebody who's about 6 foot tall, or 5 foot wherever in Maka, against somebody who's 7 foot odd, in Dan Burn. And realistically, you should be having either a Gravenberch, a Ibu Kanate, or Virgil van Dijk on Dan Burn. And we got away with it twice before the goal went in. And that was a mistake by Slot, for that. And I think as well, again, we got lucky in many ways. I know I'm gonna be slaughtered for this, but for me, I do think Alisson saves that first one. I know, obviously, people watching will go, "No, he doesn't," but I think he does. And again, I haven't watched it back, but in real time, I thought Alisson saves that. But again, that's just my opinion on it anyway. But yeah, no, absolutely, Slot got it wrong tonight as well, which, again, he'll learn from as well. But Chile says, we played 9 games more than Newcastle, so there are no fresh legs to bring on at half-time. As well with Chiesa. So like Chiesa hasn't played any games this season. But Liverpool need to bin Jota, Diaz and Robertson, get in Isak, Cunha and Alvarez. Why would Isak want to join? He's just won a League Cup. Excuse me. He's just won a cup, with Newcastle. He's just, they're probably going to get in the Champions League. I think they will get in the Champions League as well. And look, why would he? Why would he want to join Liverpool? Realistically, especially if they get Champions League football, because he's loving life at the minute at Newcastle. But yeah, I would agree with Sam. I think obviously Jota, Diaz, but I do think Liverpool have to aim and get the best in quality. And when we're talking about a killer, I'm talking about natural born number 9 as a killer. Yeah, that's what we need. And we need a creative force, because if Trent's not there, Liverpool don't create. If Mo Salah has a bad run of games that he's had the last week, we don't create, we don't score. And that's a problem. That's a big, big problem. And I think you can blame Mo. I think, I've got it, as the title again, it's not directly at Mo, but when we talk about key players not showing up, he's a part of that. Mo didn't show up again. Didn't show up midweek. But it's not only him. It's Luis Diaz. It's Darwin Núñez. It's Diogo Jota. Like the defense, I thought Ibu was poor. Konza was poor. And I look at it, I know obviously people on social media as well have gone, Van Dijk had a poor game. I thought Van Dijk was poor, but I think he was probably the best of the lot, really. But if this man isn't having an 8 or a 9 out of 10 performance in Mo Salah, the rest of them don't show up. And that's a problem. Because, all right, we rebuilt our midfield pretty much in the summer transfer window. But Liverpool, that's all we needed in that summer was midfield. We could have maybe done a centre back here or something there. We could have done with other things, but we needed the midfield rebuilt back 2 summers ago. This summer, we need to rebuild the attack and also rebuild other things. There are things in this team that need adding or adjusting. Like the left back position, for example. If Trent leaves, we need to get the right back position sorted. We need, probably another 6, because again, Arne Slot doesn't rate Wataru Endo. I'm probably would prefer somebody else. So where do you go from there? But I think the forward line, I think Richard Edwards, Michael Edwards, I should say, Richard Hughes, Richard Edwards. That's a different name. Michael Edwards, Richard Hughes, on a slot. They have to be ruthless and they have to go and get the best. If they think Julian Alvarez is the best that they want, if the data matches it, and they think that he is the guy, then go all in for him. Go and spend huge money on them. Because, or for example, like a Nico Williams, if you think Nico Williams is the guy, go and activate the release clause. Don't be like what you was last summer and go and hang around like Zubimendi and go, oh, we could negotiate a fee with Sociedad and this and the other. No, go in there, act, just properly go in and just do what you want to do instead of like hanging around and like going, oh, we're gonna, we'll wait for if we can get 5-10 million off. Like, no, like you got to be ruthless this summer. And look, obviously the league title is still needed to be won as well. That's the biggest thing now for the rest of the season, is just keeping the mentality going for the end of the season, because we could easily drop off, and there's been no evidence of that, because of the way Liverpool have been this season, but it can easily be done. If a bad run of form like this week, losing to PSG, losing to Newcastle now, like the games we got coming up, we got Merseyside Derby, Fulham away, West Ham at home, Leicester away, Tottenham, Chelsea, Arsenal themselves as well. Look, we need to be out on it, and hopefully the time, obviously the time off for certain players will be good, but also, hopefully we'll come back after the international break a bit better off as well, maybe as well. But Brazil's mate, absolutely disgrace from minute one, absolutely. Reds Chile says fair play to Newcastle, the better team won. Yeah, absolutely agree. 1000%. They were like, their midfields from minute one was on it. I mean, we said it in the match preview that Newcastle's best strength is their midfield. Absolutely, it is. It's their best part. Yes, they've got Isak and they've got they've got that threat, but their midfield is crucial. That midfield of Bruno Guimaraes, Tonali, and Joe Linton just bounce off each other. And it's so good, and again, it's probably up there one of the best midfields in the league. And especially the midfield that we played midweek as well, and you probably go, that's one of the best in Europe as well. We've played two really good midfields, and we know how we play with our midfields, really. We go through the midfield, and yeah, it just it got better today. 100% it did. But the big up Doug as well, saying that was pathetic performance for a final. Cannot turn up for 85 minutes and play like that, terrible from start to finish. Absolutely agree. Doug, 1000% agree. It's probably the worst final performance, I would say, probably ever in my lifetime. Just trying to think, like I saw somebody earlier say that 2018 Kiev final was maybe worse, but I'm not too sure. But I say this has got to be up there for one of the worst, for sure. But Chiesa did more in 10 minutes than Mo Salah did all game long. True. Yeah, I can't argue against that. Absolutely. Newcastle outclassed us. They did. Absolutely, they did. Salah is fasting. For me, I can allow an off game from him, but the rest of them, shame. Yeah, absolutely. And look, I think plenty of people do forget about that as well. But yeah, we said it early on, didn't we? Mo's been on a unbelievable run this season. And obviously the goals and the assists, they tell the story as it is, but the rest of them, and that's the problem, and then I'll quickly have a look now in terms of all competitions, but even still, like looking at it and looking at, look at Cody and obviously, and I just want to quickly look at our starting nines, for example, as well for this season. Yeah, you look at it now. I'm looking at it. To be fair, Darwin Núñez, 39 goals, 7 goals, 5 assists. Like that's not good enough for a number 9. Obviously, I'm not looking at Cody. I'm looking at Diogo. But looking at Diogo again, 28 games, 8 goals, 3 assists. Obviously, that's spread throughout the whole of the competitions. But again, you look at Mo Salah and looking at his statistics this season: 42 games, 32 goals, 22 assists. Like that's an unbelievable record. But then again, you look at Cody, who again I think is second on output. Yeah, 16 goals, 5 assists, which is a decent enough level, but still, you probably could improve on that. And even with Lucho, I think this season, yeah, 41 games played, 13 goals, 4 assists, and considering, yeah, just looking at the league as well, especially with Lucho, I think the majority of his goals were in like the first 10, 15 games of the season. Like, certainly, like since the turn of the year, Lucho's been awful in terms of output. And I think somebody put the post up of, well, Lucho hasn't scored or assisted in like 17 games, or like he did and then has been missing for 17 games. Darwin has so many, and then Jota has this many and that many. But that's the problem. That is the problem. Other players don't step up for Liverpool when Mo Salah's not there. And that is a big problem. But Endo didn't even play at all tonight. No, he didn't. Where was Endo? On the bench, I think Wataru Endo was. But again, that falls down to Arne Slot and his tactics and his thought process, really. And like we said early on, when he got it wrong, and I think he did get it wrong. There's no shaming in saying that. Like he did get it wrong, and I think overall, like we said, Newcastle deserved the win, and we were poor from start to finish, and that look, they deserved the win, and now we have to we have to bounce back in the summer. Or bounce back in the summer. We have to bounce back now in terms of again getting this Premier League won. And that's the main important thing. That's the only thing I care about, is us winning the league now, of course. But it's just the only thing we got to think about, really. But as I'm saying, I think it's clear that there will be a massive clear out in the summer con. Yeah, I think it will be. I can easily see 7 to 8 players leaving. Yeah, probably. But I think, I think maybe tonight might have been the last performance from a few of them, because I think it's clear now. Obviously we'll have a 2-week break now, but judging off starting 11s alone and judging from the entirety of the season, we've seen Arne Slot stick to his 11, if that makes sense. We've seen him stick to a specific 11. And for a few players, they might not get another opportunity. Look at Chiesa, look at Harvey Elliott, maybe Wataru Endo, but I think Endo will obviously make an appearance now and again throughout the season. But I think once this league title is won, like if Liverpool win it with a couple of games to go, I am wondering whether or not Arne Slot may change a few things, to see where on who he can rely on for next season. Because of course he can't get rid of everyone there who he potentially may want to get rid of, but he may test and have a look and see what happens, and see who he can trust for the rest of the season, for sure. But Keller is going to want regular first team minutes. I think he's gone. Yeah, like I think 100% he's gone. He'll be Alisson and Mamadashvili next season for Liverpool. Liverpool get to another League Cup final. Obviously, it will be, if we're going based on Cup goalkeeper, it'll be Mamadashvili next season for Liverpool, for sure. Like, I don't think Liverpool are going to get rid of Alisson anytime soon, and absolutely not. Look, Alisson's the best goalkeeper in the world, and look, probably, I know obviously Keller's the keeper, the Cup goalkeeper, but still, I think maybe Alisson should have started tonight anyway. But look, obviously, massive congratulations to Newcastle. I can't really say much more on them. They were excellent from start to finish. And look, obviously now it's all about reflecting and bouncing back from it. Of course, Arne Slot will of course take this now and obviously work upon it, but still, at this time it is disappointing. And the fact we can't bounce back off of it straight away is also another thing that's, a headache then, really, to be fair. But look, fair play to them, and fair play to Newcastle as well. Obviously, if there are any Geordies watching, fair play as well. But Euro says, why can't we get Spurs in the final for every cup, even when they play better than us, they lose? Well, to be fair, I did. To be fair, if Ben Bowman's watching this, that'd be pretty funny. But I did reply back to his tweet because I think, hang on a minute, what did he say? Because I said something, or what did he say? Because I will quickly repeat it on stream right now. So he said, long day, fair play to Newcastle. I just don't believe Spurs would ever turn up to a final like that. Liverpool were awful, but Newcastle turned up when it matters. And yeah, I basically bit back and said no, because Spurs can't get in the final to have that type of performance. And they can't really, but look, at the end of the day, so, they absolutely deserved to win that, and of course they absolutely battered us in that game. So look, at the end of the day, fair play to them. Anyway, but look, we'll obviously we're gonna end off here anyway. Of course, we'll have shorts up throughout the night. Of course, as soon as I get off now, I will probably obviously have shorts up of Arne Slot giving his press conference and obviously speaking about the game as well. So make sure you are tuning into that, of course, anyway. But look, at the end of the day, obviously we'll reflect a bit more, obviously, tomorrow, talk about the game as well. And obviously, potentially, look, there might be some news in terms of, other stuff potentially tomorrow as well. But yeah, obviously massively disappointed, and especially if anybody turns around and goes, "Oh, it's just the Carabao Cup." Like, no, still a trophy. And look, I know plenty of rival fans will be obviously bantering and so on as well, which again, people love to banter on and look, that absolutely. But look, hopefully, we'll bounce back and keep the level going in the Premier League and go and win number 20 anyway. But the lads look like they've hit a wall. Yeah, absolutely. I think they have in many ways. I think the season is now coming to us, and obviously now probably the Champions League. If we had beat PSG, maybe that might have been even more of a bad thing for us, in terms of going on to win the league. But look, I think now, especially, I think, for us now, it's just regrouping, coming back after the international break, and the Merseyside derby, we'll be going for Everton anyway. But look, I think with that in mind as well, I do think, look, we need to keep focused, and obviously the league title is the aim now anyway. But does this concern you for the derby in 2 weeks? No, not really. Maybe ask me that after the derby, Ozan, and then I'll be like, maybe, potentially, but we'll have to wait and see anyway. But she says, thank you very much as well. I need that type of love anyway. After frigging watching that piece of shite for the last couple of hours anyway. But no, look, hopefully you guys have a fantastic rest of your Sundays anyway. If you can, like me, I'll probably be, every time I either hear Newcastle or see Newcastle, or even hear about our players, I'll just be fuming. Anyway, but look, hopefully, we'll obviously do another show tomorrow about obviously talking about this. We'll talk about many other things as well. And look, hopefully we we'll bounce back anyway. But rough with the smooth, yeah, absolutely, hero as well. But we appreciate you. Thank you very much, Ozan, as well. Big up to you guys as well in the comments as well. But there's a league title to be won, absolutely. There 100% is. And look, hopefully, we'll be celebrating in May with a 20th league title anyway. But look, like I said, congratulations to Newcastle. They deserve the win, and yeah. Hopefully the Reds will bounce back in the next couple of weeks anyway. But look, we'll be doing plenty of content throughout the international break. Anyway, I'll try and get, obviously, a couple of guests on as well. But yeah, hopefully you guys have a fantastic rest of your weekend anyway. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow for another episode. But obviously, like I said, make sure you stay tuned. We'll get Slot's press conference and that up in a bit anyway on the channel. But yeah, hopefully you have a fantastic rest of your evenings anyway. But I've been calling out from the Cup Council. I'll see you guys in a bit. Ta-ra.